Shanti Shanti. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Asato ma sadgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Mrityorma mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Lord Krishna, the son of Vasudeva Devaki, who killed Kamsa and Janura, the demons who were tormenting the people. Krishna, who gave immense joy to Devaki, the spiritual teacher of the world. We shall offer salutations to him. Let us pray to him to lead us from unreal to real, to lead us from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying the Yoga of Wisdom, Chapter 2. Today I am taking up verse number 12. Lord Krishna gives very clearly the nature of reality. We should know what is real. Many times, not knowing things properly, we imagine things according to our own nature of the mind and draw conclusions and then undergo various types of sufferings in the world. So Lord Krishna is giving here clearly what is reality. He says in this verse, Natvevaham jatu nasam Natvam neme janadhipaha Nachaivana bhavishyamaha Sarve vayamatah param. Lord says, there was a time people could not understand properly the reality. So Sri Krishna is telling, there never was a time when I did not exist, nor indeed you did not exist, nor any of these kings did not exist. And in future also, all of us would never cease to exist. So that means we are really immortal. So that Lord Krishna is telling clearly here. Every being in this world is described by name and form. Body is the name and form. Body is not real. In Sanskrit we call mithya. Why it is not real? It is destructible. It is subject to death. Nobody in this creation can escape death. The self inhabiting the body is the Ch.2. That is, it is always existent. It is a source of knowledge and source of bliss. So that self is real. That self is indestructible. It is not subject to death. Why? Because it is not born. Self is not born. So, Lord Krishna is telling pointedly to Arjuna, really speaking, you are not this external name and form. You are the Ch.2, which is the Atman. The Atman, what we call consciousness, awareness, the presence of which makes us act in this body-mind complex. So, the Jiva is the Atman with the body. We are all embodied beings. That means we have got a name and form. Each one has got a name, each one has got a form. In a body environment, what happens is Maya, that is delusion, veils the Atman. And consequently, the Jiva becomes deluded. He does not know that he is the Atman. He thinks he is his body. It is very difficult for the Jiva, that is the embodied being, to rise above his limitations and try to know the truth about himself. Therefore, he continues to believe that he is the body only. The misapprehension that a person is his body arises because of the non-apprehension of the truth behind the name and form. The misapprehension that the rope is the snake takes place only when the rope is not seen in the darkness of the night. It's a very nice example. The instant the darkness disappears and the rope is seen as a rope, the misapprehension that is a snake vanishes. So also, the instant your ignorance drops and you see yourself as the Ch.2, the misapprehension that you are the body vanishes. That's why you see in a transcendental experience, in deep meditation, the person goes beyond his body-mind system. He is totally absorbed in his true self. So he feels immensely blissful. The Jiva goes on a long journey unknowingly in search of the truth. He enters various physical bodies temporarily to find out whether the experience of these wayside stations is really what he is seeking, or is there a truth beyond this experience. He gives up a body. That is, when a person dies, the Atman doesn't die. He leaves the body only to enter another and continues the search until the person is able to discover the truth that he is the Atman, not the body. Any journey that ends with death is a journey of the body only. Bodies only die. You are not the body. And death of the body is not the end of your journey. You are, then what? You are the awareness. And your destination is the abode of the Lord. And your journey is long and arduous. So the Jiva is the Atman, although deluded. Jiva being the Atman is eternal, timeless. To say that a Jiva did not exist at some time is not true. You always existed. Everyone always existed. Everyone was there before their bodies were born. Everyone will also be there afterwards, even after their bodies perish. Atman is not born. Only the bodies are born. That's true. The Lord Krishna was not born, only his form was born. Because there is no birth for the Atman, there is also no death for the Atman. How all these explanations are embedded in this verse. Next point is, Atman is not time bound. There was never a time when any of the people on the battlefield, including the Lord Krishna and Arjuna, did not exist. Everyone would continue to exist eternally in the future, because Atman is a timeless. You are timeless, and therefore you would continue to exist eternally. Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna. Whereas the physical bodies that you take are not timeless. Anything that has a form with attributes is an object in the space-time dimension. And everything in the space-time dimension decays and dies. That's the law. Therefore, these bodies that you take are perishable. These perishable bodies are your temporary dwellings. These perishable bodies are many because there are many beings. In all those many physical bodies, including those of Krishna and Arjuna, dwells the same Atman. Atman is not many. Atman is without form and attributes. What is without form and attributes cannot be more than one. There is only one single Atman. It is like having the light in so many candles. So even though there are 20 candles burning, the light inside every candle is the same. The containers are many. When the containers are destroyed, it goes to source, the light only remains. It's just like that. Atman is changeless and timeless. Since you cannot cry for the timeless, Atman is not a cause for sorrow. Anatma is perishable. You can't extend its life not even a second longer by crying. Therefore, crying for Anatma is also useless. So, next Lord Krishna says, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvananjara tatha dehantar praptir dhirasratana muhyati. In this verse, Lord Krishna says, for the embodied, in this gross body, just as there is childhood, youth and old age, so also the gaining of another body for the person. With reference to that, the wise person does not grieve. The Lord says to Arjuna, you may well ask, I will accept that you are not subject to birth and death because you are the Supreme Lord of this world, But what about the jivas like me? Surely the jivas who are not gods must undergo birth and death. Jiva is Atman only, with a body, mind and senses as upadhi, attributes. He is the Purush, the awareness, dwelling in that body mind complex. The same indwelling Purush watches silently as childhood passes by, as youth comes and goes by, as old age comes and continues, until the death of the body. All through these changes in the body, the Purush remains the same, absolutely changeless. So the Lord continues. Arjun, physical changes such as childhood, adulthood and old age take place only in the body. Why? Because body is in the space-time dimension. The indwelling self, as Atman, does not undergo childhood, adulthood and old age along with the body. Self is not in the space-time dimension. Body always ages. Self never ages. Self means Atman. People, however, routinely attribute these aging changes of the body to the changeless self also. When childhood passes away, do you grieve? No one grieves, because they know that it is replaced by adulthood. When adulthood passes away, no one grieves, because they know that it is replaced by old age. When old age passes away, what will happen? It will be replaced by childhood again in the next body that the jiva takes. So, jiva sheds a body when he has done with it and takes another soon. This body changing routine goes on until the jiva discovers the truth that he is the Atman. Jiva means entity, the individual entity bound by body-mind complex. For the jiva, replacement of an existing body with a new body is nothing more than a change of state, like changing from childhood to adulthood. This is just one more exciting experience in his long and arduous journey in search of the ultimate truth. Just as the ignorant persons attribute each of changing states of childhood, youth and old age to the Atman, similarly they attribute birth and death also to the Atman, although Atman is not subject to birth and death. Therefore the Lord says, O Arjun, death of a body is not the death of the jiva. There is no death for the jiva. Self does not experience birth and death. Being unaware of this truth, the ignorant persons grieve over the transition of the self from one body to the other. The jnani, the man of knowledge, man of wisdom, alone knows that the self is not tied permanently to any one particular body. Now verse 14, Matra sparshastu kaunteya Sitoshna sukudukkadaha agama payano nityastan titikshasva bharata. All these verses have sublime meanings. O Arjun, the contacts of the sense organs with their objects give rise to the feelings of cold and heat, pleasure and pain. They appear and disappear. They are not constant. So, Arjun, endure them. That is, endure both happiness and unhappiness. Sense organs, which are also called the Gyanendriyas, are 5 in number. Eyes, nose, ear, tongue and skin. Each of these sense organs senses one object. These sense objects, which are also called the Vishaya, are again 5 in number: form and color, smell, sound, taste and touch. A change is marked by a beginning and an end. Every object, phenomenon and experience of this world has a beginning and an end. Heat and cold, success and failure, victory and defeat, and all the other opposites have a beginning and an end. They come and go. Appearing and disappearing is their nature. These opposites give pleasure and pain. You get sometimes happiness, and separation from whatever gives happiness causes agony. You get some other time sorrow. Separation from whatever causes sorrow gives joy. You never get constant and unmixed happiness. When you get happiness, you should realize that sorrow is not far behind. In fact, you get a little happiness and a lot more sorrow. Such is the life on this earth. Seasons also keep on changing constantly, from hot to cold and from cold to hot. This is the nature of seasons. When they change, they cause pleasure and pain. Spring, after severe winter, gives pleasure. The beginning of severe winter, for instance, in a country like Canada, causes severe pain. Heat in peak summer in a hot country like India causes pain. Body is sensitive to physical pain. It is its nature to feel pain whenever it is subject to a painful experience. You can protect the body to some extent, but not totally. Physical pain is something that cannot be avoided totally. Sorrow, on the other hand, can be avoided, because sorrow is not your nature. Happiness is your nature. Mind is a place where sorrow causes pain, mental pain. What happens to the mind should not affect the Atman. Atman belongs to a certain order of reality. Body, mind, senses belong to another entirely different order of reality. Every time there is sorrow, however, somehow Atman, I, gets involved in it, as though Atman belongs to the same order of reality as the mind. It is the ignorance which imputes sorrow illegitimately to Atman. Therefore Lord Krishna says, Arjun, change is the nature of all things in this world. All situations change constantly. You have no control over any of these changes. The man of wisdom knows that changes cannot be stopped. He also knows that sorrow of today is replaced by happiness tomorrow. Therefore, he does not react to the changing situations. Hence, instead of lamenting over what cannot be controlled, the wise person confronts the situation and takes firm action. You also do the same. Confront the situation that is presently causing you grief and deal with it firmly and pragmatically. Yammina vethyantete purusham purushashabha samadukka sukam dhiram somratatvaya kalpate. Arjun, Dhira, who is a discriminative person, who can analyze things clearly, whom these two, Sukham and Dukkham, pain and pleasure, do not affect. He alone, who is the same in pain and pleasure, is fit for gaining moksha. Heat and cold, gain and loss, victory and defeat, honor and dishonor are called opposites. Every one gets constantly tossed from one opposite to the other. In any life, opposites are unavoidable. Opposites cause happiness and sorrow. People welcome happiness, but they dread its departure. Similarly, they dread the appearance of sorrow, but hail its departure. A wise person who is endowed with discrimination is called a dhira, very bold and courageous. Because of his discrimination, the dhira has some knowledge of the Atman. He knows that Atman is nitya, changeless, and everything else is anitya, constantly changing. Knowing the changing nature of things in this world, he does not react to changing situations. When one does not participate in the event, he does not react to it. It's only when a person reacts to a situation, his reaction takes the shape of sorrow or happiness. Knowing the fleeting nature of both worldly happiness and sorrow, the dhira is able to come out of the situations that give rise to happiness and sorrow without getting caught up in them. The real dhira is not jubilant when happiness comes to him. Neither does he become depressed when sorrow visits him. He knows that happiness and sorrow never happen singly. They always occur in pairs, one after the other, alternately. Hence, if he is placed in a situation which causes sorrow, he knows happiness is not far behind. Similarly, if he is placed in a situation that causes happiness, he knows that will soon change, giving place to sorrow. Dhira, man of firm discrimination, he is not swayed by the opposites, which implies that he attained antakarana shuddhi. Attaining antakarana shuddhi implies that the mind is cleansed of its ragadvesh, likes and dislikes. Antakarana shuddhi therefore gives a person freedom from likes and dislikes, which is the first moksha. The life of karma yoga leads to antakarana shuddhi. The dhira is a karma yogi. The dhira has a non-reactive mind. The non-reactive mind is a learning mind. Knowledge unfolds only in a purified, non-reactive and learning mind. Therefore, the dhira is qualified to gain the knowledge, that is moksha. Nasato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate sataha ubhayoropi drishtontasvanayos tattvadarshibhihi. There is never any being for the unreal. For the real, there is never a non-being. Indeed, the ultimate truth of both of these is seen by the knowers of the truth. Now here we have to understand what is bhava, what is abhava. Bhava means existence. Abhava means non-existence. Sat is bhava, asat is abhava. That which exists independently on its own is sat. That which cannot exist independently on its own but depends upon something else for its existence is called asat. Asat exists because sat exists. Its existence depends upon the existence of sat, like the snake in the rope. Atman alone is self-existent. Everything else exists because Atman exists. Atman is sat. Everything else is asat. Sat is what exists forever, in the past, in the present, and in the future. Everything else is asat. Asat is what does not exist in at least one of the periods of time. The past, the present, or the future. For example, a man exists now. We can't deny his existence because we see him existing now with our own eyes. He may not have existed in the past, or he may not exist in the future, but he certainly exists now. A tail is an object, similarly, which we see as existing now. However, the combination, the tail of a man does not exist at all. It never has any existence. It is completely non-existent, unlike man or tail, which exist in some time period or the other. This complete non-existence is called tuchha. Here in this shloka, asat does not mean tuchha, because it is unnecessary to say that something that does not exist has no being. That which we refer to here as asat is between tuchha, which is a complete non-existence, and sat, which never has any non-existence. There is an abhava between these two, which is a non-existence that we call here is asat. This asat is something that cannot be dismissed as completely non-existent, and cannot also be taken as independently existing on its own. This asat is what is known as mithya, unreal. Asat or mithya is something that has no independent existence of its own. It exists only when the sat exists. Mithya is something that seems as though existing, because it keeps disappearing. Every object of this world is purely a name for a form which our senses detect. Anything that has a form and attributes is always changing. All objects are asat because they have a form and attributes. Sat has no form and no attributes. Sat never changes. Anything that changes constantly would disappear ultimately. It is destructible. Objects of this world are constantly changing, and therefore they are destructible, which means that asat is destructible. Sat never changes. Sat therefore is indestructible. Thus there is no non-being for the sat. The Brahman is sat. Brahman is the Chidananda, which is the Atman. Brahman is the cause of creation. The creation is just an infinite collection of names and forms, and all these names and forms are asat. They are mithya. Mithya means an illusion. It appears and disappears. The sacred scriptures say that the world resides in Brahman in the same way that the snake resides in the rope, which means that the world is a mithya. Rope had always been a rope, even when it was mistaken as a snake. Similarly, the world is always Brahman only, even when people in their ignorance mistake it as a world. Brahman is awareness. Everything is contained in awareness. If it is not in awareness, it does not exist. If we remove the name and form from an object, what remains is the Atman, the Satya Vastu, which is the Brahman. But if we remove the Satya Vastu from the body, from the name and form, nothing remains. If the awareness is not there, where are the name and form for you? If we remove the clay from the pot, where is the pot? The pot, for instance, is just a form of clay. Similarly, all objects of the world are just forms of the Satya Vastu, which is Brahman. Thus, the creation has no existence apart from Brahman, just as the pot has no existence apart from the clay. Nothing exists apart from Sat. Nothing exists separate from Brahman. There is nothing outside Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, Upanishad says. Thus, even as we see the world, we are negating it. Even though the world is seemingly there, its reality is nullified by negating the contention that it exists. This negation is called sublation, sublating the reality of the separation between the world and its cause, which is Brahman. In other words, there is no separation between the Lord and His creation. The Brahman exists, the world exists, the world ceases to exist, but the Brahman still exists. There is no non-existence for Brahman. Brahman is unsublatable. Tattva is truth. Truth is the Swarupa Brahman. Those who know the truth of Brahman understand what is Sat and what is Asat. Asat depends on Sat, but Sat does not depend on Asat. The pot depends on clay for its existence, but clay does not depend on pot for its existence. Those who know this truth are called Tattvadarshanaha, who are also called Pandits. They understand Sat as Sat and Asat as Asat. They know that bodies are Asat and Atman is Sat. They also understand that there is no Abhava, non-being for Sat. They know that it is the nature of Asat to appear and disappear. Therefore, they do not lament when it disappears. They also know that Sat always exists. Therefore, there is no need to cry for the disappearance of Sat. Thus, the Pandits do not grieve for either the living or the dead. There is no need to cry for the disappearance of Asat. Not Sat, Asat. The next verse, Avinashu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinashamavyasyasya na kaschit kartumarhati. Arjun, know that by which all this world is pervaded, that indeed is indestructible. No one is capable of destroying this unchangeable entity, Atman. Sat, which has no non-existence, is understood by the Tattvadarshanaha. This is the indestructible, unchangeable Satyavastu which pervades the entire world as its Atman. This Satyavastu is what we call the Divine Lord. Generally, the name of the Divine Lord is Vishnu. Vishnu means that which pervades everywhere. All pervading is the meaning of the word Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is awareness, which is very subtle, pervades every nook and corner of this objective world as a Sat. Awareness pervades every place, every being and every object of this universe. Sat means existence. It is what exists forever, in the past, in the present and in the future. What exists forever is changeless and therefore indestructible. So, Lord Vishnu is Sat. The world is Asat. The Lord provides existence for the world. He is the substratum over which the world rests. The world rides piggyback on the Lord. Thus, Asat can only exist when Sat is present along with it. This means wherever there is Asat, there is also Sat. Asat has no independent existence. Therefore, nothing is separate from the Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is awareness. Nothing can exist outside the awareness. Awareness is all pervasive. The body-mind complex is also pervaded by the awareness. Awareness is the self in the body-mind complex. Body-mind complex perishes the very instant awareness departs. Actually, awareness does not depart because it has no place to go. It already exists everywhere. It's only the Sukshma Sharira which departs. That is the subtle body. It departs from the gross body. Awareness shines only in the subtle body, but not in the gross body. When it shines in the subtle body, it vivifies the gross body also, because the two bodies are connected. But after the subtle body departs from the gross body, there is no awareness to vivify the gross body. This is the reason why the gross body is dead when the subtle body departs from it. Very clearly explained. When the body is destroyed, awareness is not destroyed. Who can destroy the awareness? That is Atman pervading the body. They give the example. Sugar can be destroyed But who can destroy its essential nature, sweetness? The body can be killed, but who can kill the Atman? Even Ishvara is not capable of destroying the Atman. No one is capable of destroying the Satyavastu. Na kaschit kartumarhati. Verse number 18. Antavanta ime deha nityasyoktaha sharirinaha anashano prameyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharata. All these bodies of the embodied one, which is not subject to change, which is indestructible, and which is not available as an object of knowledge, are said to be destructible. Arjun, therefore, fight. Atman is Sat. It is Satchidananda. Atman sustains everything by providing existence and consciousness. Atman alone provides existence and consciousness to the body-mind complex. Bodies are many, while the Atman is one. This Satyavastu, which is changeless and indestructible, pervades the entire universe as the awareness. The world is put together by Brahman. The body-mind complex also is similarly put together. Anything put together comes to an end at some time or the other. Atman is not created. It is a creator. Atman is Brahman. All the bodies standing on the battlefield, including those of Lord Krishna and Arjun, come to an end. But Atman does not come to an end. Atman is changeless and exists timelessly. All bodies are anitya, subject to destruction, because they are in the space-time dimension. Atman, the self in all the bodies, is nitya, indestructible, because Atman is not in the space-time dimension. The destructible bodies are going to be destroyed. The indestructible Atman can never be destroyed. If Arjuna wanted to destroy Bhishma's Atman, or wanted to stop Bhishma's body from being destroyed, it is not possible for him. That which can be known through our instruments of comprehension is called prameya. All sense objects which are sensed by the sense organs are called prameya. That which cannot be understood by any means of knowledge, pramana, is aprameya. Any means of knowledge, pramanas. That which cannot be understood by any means of knowledge is aprameya. Atman is aprameya. It is not available for understanding through any means of knowledge. That means through any means of pramanas. Even scriptures cannot make us understand the Atman. They cannot make Atman an object of our knowledge. Therefore, the pramanas available to us are only good for knowing things other than the Atman. Senses, mind and buddhi are our only instruments of comprehension. We only know that much which these instruments reveal to us. They cannot reveal the self to us. Senses, mind and buddhi comprehend objects. They cannot comprehend the subject. You are not an object. You are the subject itself. You are the person inside that comprehends. Objects cannot comprehend the subject. Subject alone comprehends objects. The subject is a seer and the object is a seen. Sat cannot be unraveled by what is not Sat. On the other hand, the Sat unravels what is changing and Asat. Truth reveals what is not true. Light reveals what is hidden by darkness. Knowledge reveals what is known to ignorance, what is not known to ignorance. Knowledge reveals what is not known to ignorance. Thus Atman, which is the Sat, remains incomprehensible to our instruments of comprehension, which are Asat. Although Atman is not available as an object of knowledge, it is not really totally unknown. Atman is always self-evident. Swatasiddha. Atman is self-evident and everything becomes evident to the self-evident Atman. Atman is Parabrahman and Parabrahman is not known to us. The Lord says, Arjun, the body is perishable and your grief is not going to stop the death of the body. Also, the self in the body is indestructible and there is nothing in the universe that is capable of destroying the self. Therefore, your relatives and well-wishers are never going to die, not in this Janma, not in any Janma. Hence there is no reason for you, Arjun, to grieve over the death of your relatives and well-wishers. They will continue to exist, their bodies only perish. When their current bodies perish, they get into new bodies. So, Arjun, it is time for you to stop lamenting and start fighting. Don't abandon your Kshatriya Dharma. So nicely Shri Krishna is giving the lessons on the nature of the Atman. We shall continue with the class next. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name, streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name that bought for various hours. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when the instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, and my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though with tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere, may all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied, for he being pleased the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied the whole universe feels satisfied.